Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the Daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 29th February 2024, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look into it. Okay, let's analyze every article one by one. The importance of creating India's genetic map. Recently, a scientist has created 10,000 human genome sequencing of Indian genes. So that is the reason why it has appeared in newspaper. That is the India's genetic map project being conducted by India. Okay, let's look into how the news has been related with examination. Under prelims, the news is related to general science. Similarly, under mains, it is related with awareness in the field of IT, space, computers, robotech, nanotech, biotech, and issues relating to IPR. This will be coming under GS paper 3, science and technology. So this is what the relation of the exam with syllabus. Let's look into the details of the news. See, the government Genome India's initiative announced the successful sequencing of 10,000 genome of healthy person across the country, and researchers from 20 science institutes across the country has helped in collecting the blood samples, sequencing the genome, as well as the developing the methodology and then the technique to store the data. And each sequence requires 80 GB storage space, so that a huge data set of 8 petabytes will be required. So that it is being stored at India's biological center, because it has the capacity to store such huge amount of data which is in Faridabad, and the data set will be made available to researchers as digital public goods. So this part of explanation, and the data can be utilized to develop new diagnostics, targeted therapy, as well as identifying the new rare disease and then cure the existing ones. So this is what the advantage the project holds. So what is the project is about? See, the Genome India project was first approved by government during 2020 with the aim of creating a comprehensive catalog of genetic variation that has been found in India's population. A map of genetic diversity is very essential for understanding the history of our evolution and discovering the genetic basis for various diseases, and then creating a therapies for the country of the futures. And this can't be done using the data that is available in the existing international database or the international baskets. So as a result of it, Indian genomes are likely to be different from that of another country. So that is the reason why India's own genetic map project has been conducted by the government. And the researchers who analyzed the 5,750 of the genome sequence have already identified 135 million genetic variation in India. And this map will create a unique resource, because nearly 1.4 billion population of our country consists of more than 4,600 distinct gene groups. Since marrying within the same community is the habit or common in India, various groups have the distinct genetic makeup, and it has maintained so because of the marrying cultures in the India, and it can help compare and contrast as well as contrast with the impact of genetic variation on physical health. So what is genome and how it is sequenced? See, the human genome is essentially a biological manual or the instruction manual which we inherit from the ancestors. It is the term written which is written in 4 letters, that is A, C, G and T, which are the 4 bases that they will come together to create the everyone's or the individual human's genetic makeup. And there are around 3 billion pairs of bases in a complete human genome, and it contains all the information needed to create the physical form and maintain it throughout the life. So this is what the genome is about, and this is what the constituent of the genome is about. And how it is sequenced is, so to sequence the genome, researchers first they will be extracting the information from the blood, and with a complete sequence of 3 billion pairs being which is very extreme difficult to handle, the scientists will cut that long piece of the genome into short pieces, and then after sequencing it, they will be tagging the the short pieces together to form again the long pieces. This ACGT code of this smaller chunks are written down by DNA sequencer. Then the complete sequence is put together so that a whole human genome sequence will be formed. So what is the advantage this project holds is that to identify the genetic basis or the genetic risk factors for the various ailments, and it will enable the researchers to develop the targeted treatments, especially for the rare diseases that is prevalent in India. And it will also help in identifying resistance, including the variants. So this is what the advantage it holds. So what is the time taken for the project is, the first whole human genome was sequenced with the collaboration of an international team. It took around 13 years and then $3 billion, and it was completed only in 2003. India announced its first complete human genome during 2009 after the evolution of the technology as well as the evolution of technique as well as different studies. It takes only about 5 days to sequence the entire human genome and to perform all the quality check that is required for the project. And what the scientist has said with regards to this project is that within 3 to 4 months they have sequenced the entire 10,000 human genome, and in that a majority of the time was spent on collecting the patient sample and then their health, collecting the data with regards to the patient's health history. Why? Because most of the individuals have been located in the different parts of the country, which was very difficult to access because of the difficult terrain as well as the other geographical factors, and these population do include the tribal communities also. And at the same time, this project got delayed due to the COVID pandemic as well as its related lockdowns that was placed during different parts of the country during that year. So this is what the thing is about. So what are the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of what is gene, what is DNA, what is the difference between them, and secondly we should be aware of the mRNA vaccine and then the COVID-19 vaccine. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Why we have leap year and why they don't always come every 4 years. So the news is related to what is leap year, why it is called a leap year, and why there won't be a leap year during some 4th year of a particular century. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the relation of the news with the examination or the syllabus. Under prelims, the news is related to India and world geography, and similarly it remains GS paper 1 through a major topic called geography under a subtopic called India important geophysical phenomena. It has been related with. So this is how the news is related with the syllabus. Okay, first we will look into what is the leap year. A leap year is the year which has 366 days as opposed to the regular 365 days, and the extra days is added to the February, which is the shortest month of the year. And why was a leap year introduced? Once 1 year in a solar calendar reflects one round around the earth. One round the earth makes around the sun. The earth takes nearly 365 days, 5 hours, 46 minutes, 46 seconds precisely to revolve around the sun. The length of the year is rounded to 365 days, so that the remaining 5 hours, 48 minutes and 46 seconds will be carried forward to the next year, and it will get accumulated. So the account for the extra time will be rounded up to 6 hours, so that the 24 year, that is a 1 day, will be added to every 4th year. That is the reason why the leap year has been introduced in the every 4th year. And when was the leap year introduced? See, the leap year was introduced by scholars engaged by Julius Caesar in 46 BC and more precise from the 12th AD. The Julian calendar had a year that was usually 365 days long, with 366th day added once in every 4 years. According to the website of Royal Museum Greenwich, the Islamic calendar Al-Hijra also had an extra day added to the 12th month Zul Hijjah on leap year. So this is what the different interpretation given by the different researchers or the scholars with regards to the introduction of the leap year. And this method was not error free. This method was not error free because 6 hours used for the calculation are still different from the actual 5 hours 48 minutes 46 seconds. There is still approximately around 12 minutes has been left. So making the calendar year slightly longer than the same year, solar year. So that in the 16th century, it was calculated that the calendar year until then had accumulated 10 extra days. When we are calculating the 12 minutes, approximately the 12 minutes which was left from this timing, that is the time which has taken by the earth to revolve around the sun. And in 1582, Pope Gregory XIII added a drastic compensation by dropping the 10 days from the October month. That is, from October 4th, the next day was calculated as October 15th, so that the 10 days was skipped during this era, during this century. Why does the leap years not come every 4 years? See, the Pope Gregory XIII one-time action, that is cutting the 10 days which was accumulated over the period of time, hasn't solved the entire problem, because from the next year onwards that the 12 minutes gap will be continuing. So that what it has been said is that there need to be a 1 day need to be dropped in a century. So that year in a century was calculated as the year ending with 00. That is the starting year of the century. So however, dropping the leap year from the all year ending with 00 again led to error. So that finally it was calculated that the 00 year that were divisible by 400 would be ended as leap year. Thus, the 1900 was not the leap year, but the 2000 was leap year. Since 1900 was not divided by 400, so it is being calculated as not a leap year. So that is the reason why some fourth year hasn't been calculated as has not been calculated as the leap year. So this is what the leap year is, and this is what the history of the leap year is, and this is what the errors as well as the thing that has been surrounding the leap year is about. So what we need to study further is we should be aware of the rotation as well as revolution of the earth, and then the earth atmosphere and the different stratification it has, what is orbit, what is the different types of orbit. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. And with this, we have reached the end of this topic. India, South Africa blocks the investment deal at WTO. So the news is related to India has blocked the Chinese backed development assistance or the development agreement being brought into the WTO meeting, and which has been supported by South Africa. This is what the news is about. Okay, let's look into how the news has been related with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it is related to important international institutions, agencies, forums, and their structure and mandate. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Okay, let's look into the explanation part of the news. India has blocked an attempt by WTO members to get the Chinese inspired investment pact into the development agenda of the 13th MC, that is the Ministerial Conference, which is the highest decision making body of WTO, so that it won't be in the final outcome document, because every decision in the WTO will be made only through a consensus of all the member parties. If any of the countries is opposing the agreement means, then it will not be taking off. In this case, India as well as South Africa has rejected or outrightly they have blocked, opposed the Chinese backed investment agreement or the investment pact. So India, in its attempt to block the inclusion of this investment facilitation or development, that is the IFD in short form, during the session was along, as I said, being joined by South Africa. There is no exclusive consensus since it is being joined by India, South Africa and some other global south countries. There is no consensus with regards to the development facilitation agreement being bought by Chinese backed countries. And India is also of the view that it is still debatable, because the IFT is a trade agreement by the China or not. such kind of dicey things has been within the agreement. That is the reason why India has blocked it. And at the same time, this agreement from the India's perspective will benefit those countries which is been indebted to the Chinese investment, or the countries which has huge investment from the China. So this is what the thing with regards to the news is about, and this is the reason why India is opposed to the Chinese backed investment pact. Okay, let's look into what does this IFD is about. See, it is the WTO negotiated agreement being discussed among the members, and the IFD first proposed in 2017. It aims to streamline the investment procedures and facilitate cross-border investment, and thus creating a more transparent, predictable and streamlined environment for investors. However, it has attracted criticism for potentially favoring countries which is heavily reliant on Chinese investment and those with the sovereign wealth fund. So this is the reason why India has vehemently opposed these pact being introduced in the WTO. So this is what the news is, and this is what the analysis surrounding the news, and this is what the details of the news is about. Let's look into what are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. Should be aware of what is WTO, what is United Nations Organization, and what are all the sub-organization coming under it, and what does the IMF is about, what is the objective of it, structure of it, and what is the World Bank, its objective and structure of it. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Government get ready for the GIC, the General Insurance Company restake sale. So this is what the news is about, that is government is getting ready to restake sale of the General Insurance Company. So let's look into how the news has been related with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it is related to GS paper 3 economic development through a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. The government has kick-started the process for additional stake sale in GIC with a roadshow in key global financial hubs including US, New York, Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai and London, which is the global financial, which is considered as global financial hub. The outreach has elicited some positive response from the global investors, which would give a fillip to offer for sale of the GIC. Currently, the government owns 85.78% of GIC and it plans to reduce it by 10.78% to reach the 75% stake. And the current market value of the government, that is the 10.78% is 7341 crore. The GIC offer for sale hits the March. It would boost the government's disinvestment plan so that it could be able to achieve the target of mobilizing 18,000 to 20,000 crore via disinvestment disinvestment target which it has set for the financial year 24. And till now it has achieved 12,609 crore through the disinvestment process, and the road showcase of the GIC has evoked some positive response from the global investors, and the GIC's dominant market share of the 69% of the gross reinsurance premium of $4.4 billion 23 has also increased the interest of the investors, and the rest of the share being held by the foreign reinsurance branches in India. So this is what the details of the news is about. Let's look into what are all the things which we needed to be aware of. Should be aware of what is the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, what is disinvestment policy, and what is FDI policy. These are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. And with this, we have reached the end of this topic. Let's move on to today's practice prelims question. Mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. So those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. So with this, we have reached the end of today's session. Please do like, comment, share as well as subscribe Ganesh's YouTube channel so that you will be receiving daily current affairs session notification and also weekly environmental and science and tech road notification, and also any other important session that will be brought to you in the future by Ganesh Academy. Thank you.